Good morning. It's SmallBizDavid, and welcome to our broadcast this morning. We're doing it at a much different time this morning for several reasons. First, we actually had an HOA planned for 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, about 3 hours from now, and our featured community member was Stephanie Sims. Stephanie is an expert on small business money matters. Uh, Money matters for your business, money matters for your personal life. And as an entrepreneur, there's sometimes a very fine line between your business and your personal life. And the finer the line, the more complex, if you will, certain money matters need to be taken into consideration. So I've rescheduled that. Well, Stephanie was supposed to be at 11:30, but I need to leave before that time so that I can spend a couple hours with my granddaughter, Precious Eloise. She is coming through the Cincinnati airport on her way back to Rome. Eloise and her mommy and daddy have been in the United States for 2 months now, and she's been to Cincinnati a couple times, but she is actually going through the Cincinnati airport with her parents on her way back to Rome. And she's going to be a year old in 2 weeks. So I think I'm going to, I've already given her birthday present, but I think I'm going to take a little present with me for Eloise. So Stephanie, I just found out about that yesterday, that was going to be happening, and so we've rescheduled with Stephanie, and I think it's the next Monday. But if you checked our event stream, you'll see exactly when it is, and I will be reminding you also this week. To that point, tomorrow at 11:30, we have a very special community member. Well, everybody is special, but Brooke Ballard. Brooke was actually one of the first featured entrepreneurs I did when I first started producing HOAs about a year and a half ago. And Brooke was just recently named one of the top, I think the description was social media strategist in the United States. She had written a blog about 2 weeks ago on email and how to use email in your business marketing. Can you integrate email with your social media? It was certainly a topic that got my attention because over the years I have been a very avid emailer. I haven't been for the last 3+ years, probably closer to 4 years, because I have been spending all my time in Google technology and distributing my marketing message inside of Google as opposed to necessarily doing it in the form of an email. I'm going to be testing some email myself in the very near future, and that's another reason why I wanted to get a perspective on things with Brooke. So you won't want to miss that HOA tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time. SmallBizDavid and Brooke Ballard. Last week we had several discussions on business planning throughout the week. And when we got some very interesting viewpoints about business planning, Uh, some I didn't necessarily agree with, but be that as it may, I don't have to agree with everything I read. My point has always been that planning is very, very important for your business. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a very detailed plan, although creating a detailed plan really tests your business idea. And I can say this because I had never really written a business plan till about 5 or 6 years ago. I bought some software from Palo Alto Software Business Plan Pro, which was recognized, I don't know if it still is, but at that time was recognized as the very best software that a small business could purchase, and cost under $100. But I'll tell you, creating a plan was one of the most interesting, using uh, software, Business Plan Pro, it was one of the most outstanding business exercises that I have ever done, because it really gave me a chance to understand if what I had in mind as a business idea really made sense. How was I going to do it? Was I going to make money doing it? What was exactly the journey I needed to take? That's what a plan is all about. A plan does not have to be detailed. It must be detailed if you are seeking outside investment for your company, because an outside investor, be it a bank, be it a venture capitalist, a traditional venture capitalist, be it an angel investor, they are going, or a family member or a friend, they are going to want to know precisely what are you going to do with the money that they invest in your company. So it needs to be detailed, and based upon their feeling that you, the entrepreneur, the small business owner, can achieve the goal so that profitability will be achieved and that you will be able to pay that money back with whatever premium might be attached to it. It might be an interest rate, it might be equity in your company, all different. It can look different ways. So I made the statement last week that it was very, very important for a plan to be written. And you might not call it a plan, you might call it a strategy, a business strategy. And it must be very definitive. It can be done in bullet points. It can be done in sentences and not paragraphs. That's not an important thing. The important thing is that you do it, and you either type it yourself or you write it in longhand. It's very important, that step, because when you write something down or when you're typing something, you force yourself to think it through before you actually put it on paper. Very, very important. And I also recommended last week that you put it someplace in your office, your studio, where you can reference it very quickly. So you can look at it as a reminder of what it is that you're doing or supposed to be doing, or you can use it to hold yourself accountable for achieving the goals and the objectives of that plan, of that strategy. By the way, there was a very interesting blog today at SBA.gov. SBA stands for Small Business Administration.gov. It was written by Tim Berry, and Tim Berry, just coincidentally, was the founder and the author and the editor of Business Plan Pro by Palo Alto. And he wrote a blog, Get Over These Dangerous Business Planning Myths. It's about the management, not the plan. It's that's really a myth. It's about the plan. Management is part of the plan, but it's about the plan. Not all business planning needs rigorous market analysis. We actually I just mentioned that. It's not important that you necessarily have rigorous market analysis. You must have it if somebody is going to invest in your business. But once again, if it's just a reminder for you, then you don't have to have a lot of rigorous market analysis. Good planning doesn't reduce flexibility, it builds flexibility. Some people say that if you have a plan and you have to stick to that plan, no, no, no. You don't have to stick to the plan. The plan is a guideline. The plan is a roadmap. When we start out on a journey, we don't necessarily know that we're going to get from point A to point B without some kind of outside occurrences happening. The same way with a plan. We may sit down and create a plan, but it doesn't mean anything until we try to do it, till we try to execute it, till we try to achieve our goals and objectives. So there's flexibility in that plan. It's just a guideline. It's an outline. Those are three main points that Tim made. So I'm going to ask 4 questions now. 3 of them are about business plans. I'm going to give quick answers, and you might want to add some comment from my answers that we can get involved in the dialogue. You know that because we are now using it as our textbook, if you will, a book that I wrote in 2000, and I wrote it in August and September and October of 2007, and published it on January 1st, 2008. I published it myself. I manufactured this book myself. I did it myself. I went to a printer, negotiated how the book would look, how much it would cost to manufacture the book. That's what publishing is. Another level of publishing is how do you market that book. The only difference, the major difference, not the only difference, the major difference between myself and a traditional publisher is that traditional publisher has channels of distribution already in place. I have to create those channels. The individual publisher has to create those channels. But in today's world, with today's technology, the way things are operated today, it's a far more simple process to publish a book today than it was back in 2007 when I published this book. But the title of the book was How Do You Answer These 749 Questions About Your Small Business? There are at least 749 questions that I was able to come up with, but two comments. All of the questions in this book are not necessarily important to all businesses. Most of them are, but many of them are not. So don't feel that you have to be able to answer all 749. These are thoughts, they're ideas, they're guidelines, they're little maps along the way to help you along your journey. By the way, you can download a copy of this book, a complimentary copy of the book, a PDF, if you go to, if you join our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs in Google Plus community, and over on the right-hand side of the page, there's a link right at the bottom of the details, where if you click on that link, you can download a copy of a PDF of the book. But we're going to, when I wrote the book, I intentionally wrote the question and left white space so that the individual small business could pick out those questions that were most pertinent and appropriate to them and write in their answers. Take some notes. Say, boy, that's a good question. I really need to call so-and-so. I need to call this member of my advisory board. Speaking about advisory boards, we had a discussion on Saturday in our community meeting that how important it is to have an advisory board for your small business. This would be a small business attorney, a small business CPA or accountant. You'll get more mileage with a CPA, but that's not a big deal. A business strategist, a successful entrepreneur, a marketing person, a technology person, a banking person, a small business insurance person. Insurance is the most neglected area of small business that I've ever seen. Most businesses are underinsured. They say, well, I don't need it. I'll take the risk. If it happens to me, I'll pay the consequences. Insurance, none of us like to pay insurance premiums. We don't mind it once we have an insurance claim. Then it's the greatest tool that we ever saw. It's insurance, and you can't necessarily buy too much insurance for your small business. You get to a point where with the premiums, you have to have a certain amount of cash flow before you can really invest all the money that necessarily needs to be invested. When you're bootstrapping the start of your business, then you're not going to buy a lot of business insurance. That I know. Oh, by the way, how do you answer these 749 questions about your small business? This book, written as a textbook, is also great for those folks who want to start a business, because it'll give you some key questions that you need to understand if you want to start a business. I found this out when I wrote the book. I put about 1,000 copies were distributed to grade school students, high school students, and college students, mostly in the Cincinnati area where I live. I wanted to get feedback from all of those segments, all those demographics, but I also wanted to use it as a tutorial to motivate and inspire young folks to start a business. The future of entrepreneurship, the future of small business ownership is with our youth. Real quickly, because I am going to go in to somebody else. Another community member, Vivek, is having his own HOA today. I've been participating in them the last 2 Mondays. He asked me if I would continue on, which I was more than happy to do so. That's going to happen in 10 minutes. Okay, some questions to think about. How often do you review your business plan? My recommendation is that it's reviewed not necessarily daily. If it's hung up someplace where you can see it, you might read it and not really focus totally on it, but you don't need to review it necessarily daily. You don't want to get bogged down, but certainly once a week, where you say, geez, here's what's happened in the business this week, here's the goal, here's what's happened, here's what I need to do next week. Once a week is plenty of time to review your business plan. How often do you change your business plan? You change when it needs to be changed. Pretty simple. There's no, well, I'm going to change it 6 months from now, I'm going to change it 9 months from now. You change it when it needs to be changed. I like to look at the business cycle in terms of 100 days. Why 100? Because 100 is an easy number to remember. And if my goal is this is what's going to happen 100 days from now, and I know that I'm 2 days into it, so I have 98 days to achieve that business goal. It just keeps the math more simple, and simplicity is what it's all about. By the way, as I ask these questions about business plan, you can interchange business plan for business strategy. And I actually did that in the questions that I posted today. Are you the change agent for your business plan? Do you make the changes, or do you ask somebody else to make the changes? the change agent. It's not easy to be a change agent. Most people do not like change, but change is dramatically important, particularly in a small business. And in fact, the smaller the business, the easier it is to change. You can react very quickly to an existing opportunity, to existing market conditions, where the larger the company, it takes more reactive time. So that's an obvious advantage that a small business has. And question number 4, do you use email in your business? If you don't, you should. But there's a whole process and system about email. We'll start to discuss some of this tomorrow at 11:30, and I've got quite a few articles that I've been getting of recent. We'll talk about those. We'll see you tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time, where Brooke Ballard will be our community member that we are featuring tomorrow as we talk about email, interacting email with social media. Should be a very, very interesting discussion. I will see you the next time, which may very well be the best time.